On this video, we'll take a closer look at the clipping mask. Clipping mask works so that a vector form cuts the forms underneath it. The clipping mask form is always the form on top. I draw a circle on top of the big rug, select it with the black arrow, and shift select also the rug. Now I can make the rug go inside the clipping mask of the white form. When I've selected multiple objects, you can find the clipping mask command from the right-click menu. Its actual place is Object, Clipping Mask, Make. When I click this Make Clipping Mask, the white form will start cutting the rug. It means that the rug doesn't show outside the clipping mask. Clipping mask doesn't crop the image. It only shows the image inside it. If I drag with the black arrow, the clipping mask and the object inside is moved. If I want, I can edit the object inside the clipping mask, the photograph of the rug. You can edit, for example, move the image with the white arrow, or then by double-clicking with the black arrow and going inside the clipping mask. You can see that you're inside the clipping mask because the outside areas went gray, and up on a new row, Illustrator tells where you now are. You can go back to the normal view by double-clicking on empty space. If I want, I can also edit the path of the clipping mask. This is done normally by selecting parts of the path with a white arrow. I can also scale or rotate the clipping mask by first selecting it with the white arrow and then changing the tool to the black arrow. Making a clipping mask in Illustrator has the benefits that the edge is always vector form, as sharp as cut with a knife. Even though the image itself has pixels, they don't affect the clipping edge. If I don't need the clipping mask, I can release it. This is done by selecting the clipping group with a black arrow, right-clicking and selecting Release Clipping Mask. The image and the clipping form are released. Nothing else is lost but the color information of the clipping object. The clipping object path now shows without a fill color or a stroke color. You should put a color on it, otherwise it will haunt you in the file without any visible attributes. You can make a clipping mask for several images. The clipping form is always the form on top, so in this case it's the blue circle. I select all of these forms and again command by right-clicking Make Clipping Mask. Now all of the three rugs and the red circle are inside the clipping mask. Now if I move with the black arrow, the full clip group moves. If I want to move individual forms, I double-click myself inside the clip group. I can come out from the clip group by double-clicking on empty space. I release the mask again by right-clicking Release Clipping Mask. In older Illustrator versions, you needed to first group all of the forms you wanted inside a clipping mask. If I want to have several objects work as a clip form, I need to make Illustrator first think of them as one form. I create two orange circles, select them and the rug underneath, and create a clipping mask. Only the form on top becomes a clipping mask. If I want both of the orange forms to become a clipping mask, I first need to make them one form. The term for this is compound path. Creating a compound path is done by selecting both of the forms and going to Object, Compound Path, Make. Now the form move as one, but they are not grouped. They are a compound path. Now if I also select the rug, I can make a clipping mask with the compound path as clipping form. I release the clipping mask and remove these circles. This type of compound path you cannot do on objects on top of each other. The compound path command will make holes in your forms like the pathfinder. I undo the change. If I would want to have this double circle as a clipping form, I would of course first unite them with the pathfinder. And now I wouldn't need the compound path at all. If you need a clipping mask with a hole in it, you can do this with the compound path or with the pathfinder. Pathfinder is actually a tool to make compound paths. You know now how to create and edit clipping masks.